Good morning, Barrister, and thank you so much for joining us on News Central now.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so there's been so many questions about Mr. Olukoyede's appointment. Perhaps you could actually tell us from a legal point of view, if his appointment as the EFCC boss is in accordance to the legal and constitutional requirements for such appointments in Nigeria, and has it been done in full compliance with due process?
Yeah, thank you. The issue is that anytime there is appointment of an EFCC chairperson, there is always very much controversy, and that is explainable because the issue is corruption. Corruption has retarded the country. Corruption has kept us where we are, and there are those who may not want that corruption fight, to really take a full bite to eliminate the particular negative thing that has kept us retarded as a nation. So there is always very much controversy anytime appointment of an EFCC chairperson is being presented either before the Senate or by the president. Now, even the exit always end up in controversy. So I'm not surprised with the turn of events with this man that was also cleared yesterday by the Senate. Now, the issue is that the section that actually qualifies EFCC chairman says that he must be an officer of any security outfit or any law enforcement agency. And then his position must not be below the rank of an assistant commissioner of police or his equivalent. And he must have derived what we call cognate experience of 15 years, which is a professional experience within the area that he is now being called upon to supervise, and that is law enforcement agency, which we know as EFCC. So the issue is whether this lawyer who has put in 22 years and who has been once an officer of EFCC qualifies. So there are those who are of the view that since he has not put in 15 years working experience within any security outfit or security agency, or law enforcement agency of the government, then he's not qualified. But there are those other school of thought, and that is from the government side, including the Attorney General of the Federation, who are of the view that if the man has put in 6 years or thereabout in law enforcement agency, has been a lawyer of 22 years post-call, and whose area of specialization is what we call fraud management and corporate intelligence, and have done several courses both in Harvard and the arbitration school in France, and has also been a member of the fraud panel recovery in Britain, that he is eminently qualified for that position. Because if we are sticking to issue of police beheading the agency, then the mischief has not been cured, because the mischief of setting up that agency was to run away from Nigerian police because of their inefficiency in crime management and prevention and prosecution. So having run away from Nigerian police and set up this agency, why would you now want to hand over that agency also to a police officer in perpetuity? Meanwhile, we have not been able to get satisfactory performance from them. So they are now looking at that particular act again and discover that you can't bring somebody from Nigerian police, but who has had extinct with law enforcement agency or security outfit and probably qualified in terms of cognate experience. That's how Olu Koyede now fit into the arrangement, and they now brought him, and then his that clearance took place yesterday in the floor on the floor of the Senate.
All right, Barrister, you did talk about corruption, and we all know how the previous chairman of the EFCC have actually, fared when it came to corruption, during their time. But taking a look at the portfolio of Mr. Olukoyede, do you think that there are any legal or ethical concerns associated with his previous roles or even affiliations that may impact his ability to lead the EFCC effectively and impartially?
The report that I have about him, I don't know him in person, is that he appears incorruptible. There are certain persons who have approached him while he was the secretary of that particular agency, the security agent at the EFCC. and he had them arrested for even attempting to bribe or corrupt him. That he is a pastor whose character and integrity is not questionable, that I've heard much about him. Now, I don't see any hindrance. I don't see any impediment, for his work. He has actually gave an outlay of what he intends to do by reviving EFCC. The truth of the matter is that we have not gotten satisfactory performance from that body. It was set up to actually deal with corruption in public service. But we have seen over time that what EFCC has now concentrated upon is these 419ers, boys who are into scam and not paying adequate attention to corruption that is clearly endemic in the public service. We have not seen big shots, those who are really, really taking so much out of the system, being prosecuted or being investigated. And so most times it's as if EFCC is being used, by the government in power to oppress their opponents, or to
All right,
intimidate their
Barrister,
opponents.
still on that particular thought, how do you suggest that the new EFCC boss, should address potential legal challenges that could arise during his tenure, especially in high-profile corruption cases, and how will he ensure that justice is served in a fair and transparent manner?
He has been in the system. So I expect him to be very impartial. I expect him to be very focused. I expect him to show high level of integrity. I expect him to be fearless and bold, believing that the government will not interfere with his job. Because most times it's issue of government interference that actually make this EFCC to be like a toothless bulldog. If the government of the day does not interfere, I expect Olukoyede to be very bold and strong and ensure that there is justice at the end of the day. We shouldn't in any way exculpate any person because he's a member of the political party that is in power. He should not do that. He should ensure that whoever is alleged must be thoroughly investigated. He's a lawyer. He should go for the elements of crime. Most times they don't even know what they're investigating. That's why they've been having an issue in not winning their cases in the court. So look at the element of the offense. Then their crack team should go towards in getting evidence that actually will incriminate any person for an offense he has committed to really convince the court, because it is any expertise in investigation in getting to the root of the elements of the offense. When you get to the court will have nothing to do. They are not Father Christmas. They cannot convict. Any doubt that is raised in the time of trial will be resolved in favor of the accused. So I think with his knowledge as a lawyer, with his background here, which he has had instinct in the EFCC, and then with all the trainings he has had, this is where now the nation will be expecting him to really fare well in fighting corruption, so that the country will really move forward, so that we can reclaim our country, because corruption has actually retarded our growth as a nation.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Monday Ubani, for your in-depth analysis on this particular topic of discussion.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
All right.